Hello everyone and welcome to my channel Y&R Trends. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. In a scene so charged with emotion that it could only come from Genoa City's most haunted hearts, the moment finally arrives. The one Sharon Newman has dreaded for years, the one Matt Clark aka Mitch Bacall never could have imagined. The words, "That's your son," slice through the air like a thunderclap, echoing through crimson lights as the truth Sharon has buried for decades finally claws its way to the surface. For years, the tangled web of deception, tragedy, and survival has kept Sharon's most painful secret hidden. But now there's no running. The truth is standing right in front of her. In Noah's confused eyes, in Matt's trembling hands, in the silence that follows her revelation. What started as a tense confrontation explodes into a moment that will change everything for all three of them. Matt's world collapses, Noah's identity shatters, and Sharon's heart breaks all over again. It begins with a storm outside, the kind that mirrors the chaos inside Sharon's heart. Lightning cracks and the wind howls against the windows of crimson lights. Sharon stands behind the counter, her trembling hands wrapped around a mug of untouched coffee. Across from her stands Matt, or rather Mitch Bacall, the man who once nearly destroyed her, the man she thought she'd left behind in another lifetime. Although his face has hardened, there is now something different about it. Perhaps pain, regret, or age. Sharon's breath catches as she looks at him. For all the anger, for all the hate that used to define them, something inside her softens. There's something she has to say, something that's been eating away at her for far too long. "Why now, Sharon?" Matt demands, his tone rough but laced with something wounded. "You called me here. What was it that you were unable to say over the phone?" Sharon closes her eyes, fighting back tears. She knows once she says it, there's no taking it back. "You deserve to know," she whispers, her voice cracking. "You deserve to know the truth, even if it destroys everything." Before she can go on, the door swings open and Noah steps inside. The storm follows him in, raindrops clinging to his hair, confusion written across his face. "Mom? What's going on?" he asks, glancing between them. He can feel the tension immediately, the unspoken electricity in the room. He's walked in on something big, something he can't yet understand. Matt's gaze flicks toward Noah, softening just slightly, though he doesn't know why. There's something familiar about the young man, something that stirs a strange ache deep in his chest. He clears his throat. "This your son?" he asks, his voice low. Sharon nods. Her lips tremble as she forces the words out. "Yes," she says quietly. "Noah is this." Matt studies Noah, his eyes tracing his features, the curve of his jaw, the expression in his eyes, the way he shifts awkwardly under his stare. It's like looking at a reflection of something half-remembered, something that once belonged to him. The air thickens as realization hovers just out of reach, waiting for Sharon to release it. Noah senses it too. "Mom, what is this?" he asks, his brow furrowing. "Why are you acting like this?" Sharon sets the coffee cup down with shaking hands. Her heart feels like it's about to explode. "Because," she says, her voice breaking completely now, "because it's time you both knew the truth. Noah, Matt, you're connected in a way neither of you ever imagined." Matt steps forward, his face tightening. "What are you talking about, Sharon?" he growls, though there's fear beneath his anger. "What do you mean we're connected?" The silence stretches for what feels like an eternity. Then Sharon looks up, tears streaming freely now. "He's your son," she finally says, her voice barely a whisper. "Noah is your son, Matt." The world seems to stop. Matt stares at her in shock, the words echoing in his head. "He's your son. It doesn't make sense. It can't make sense." For years he's lived under a false name, believing he'd left behind every part of his former life. Every person he'd ever hurt, every mistake he'd made. He thought his past was buried, that Sharon had moved on, that the damage between them was irreparable. And now she's standing here telling him that the boy, no, the man in front of him is his son. His breath catches as he staggers backward, clutching the back of a chair for balance. Noah blinks, stunned. "What?" he breathed. "What did you just say?" Sharon's sobs rack through her body as she nods helplessly. "It's true," she says, her voice barely audible. "You were conceived after everything that happened between me and Matt. I wanted to protect you, Noah, from him, from his world, from everything that came after. But when I found out who he really was, when I saw the man he became, I thought it was better if you never knew. Noah steps back, shaking his head. No, that doesn't make any sense. My father is Nick. Sharon's face crumples. Nick raised you, yes, she says softly. He's your father in every way that matters. But biologically, Matt is your father. The sound of Noah's world breaking could almost be heard. As the world around him crumbles, he stumbles and shakes his hands. The man who had terrorized his mother, who had once been the embodiment of danger, is now his biological father. And the man he's called Dad his entire life, the man who's protected and loved him unconditionally, isn't by blood. Matt's knees nearly give out. His face is pale, his eyes glassy. No, he chokes out, tears spilling down his cheeks. No, Sharon, you can't mean that. After everything I did, everything I became, you can't mean he's mine. Sharon steps forward, placing a trembling hand on his arm. He's yours, Matt, she whispers. He always was. For a long moment Matt says nothing. He just stares at Noah, trying to process what's happening. His entire life he's been haunted by ghosts, by the man he used to be, by the people he hurt, by the pain he caused. He thought redemption was impossible. But now, looking at Noah, seeing a piece of himself in those eyes, something inside him breaks open. He reaches out, his hand shaking. Noah! Noah doesn't move. He's still too stunned, too angry, too lost in the betrayal of it all. You, he says bitterly. You're my father? Matt's voice cracks. I didn't know, son. I swear to you I didn't know. Noah's breath hitches. The word son lands heavy, foreign, unwanted. Yet, beneath the anger, something else stirs. Something he doesn't want to feel. A strange, aching recognition. Matt steps closer, his tears falling freely now. I can't take back who I was, he says, his voice trembling. I can't erase the pain I caused your mother. But if I'd known I had a son, I never would have left. I would have fought to be better. I would have fought for you. Sharon's tears fall harder. That's why I kept it from you, she confesses. You were dangerous back then, Matt. I couldn't risk Noah's safety. But after everything that's happened, after seeing the man you've become, I couldn't carry this secret any longer. Matt can't breathe. He looks at Noah again, really looks at him, and it hits him all at once. The mannerisms, the quiet strength, even the way he defends his mother, they all come from him. It's like looking back at what could have been if he had gone in a different direction. A sob escapes him as he closes the distance, and without thinking, he pulls Noah into his arms. First, Noah stiffens. He doesn't want to accept it, doesn't want this hug, this truth, this man. But as he feels Matt's body shaking against his, something breaks inside him. The pain, the confusion, the betrayal, they all melt into something deeper. A strange, fragile understanding. Against his will, his arms slowly come up around Matt, returning the embrace. Sharon watches through her tears as father and son cling to each other, their sobs echoing through the coffee shop. It's messy, broken, and raw, but it's also healing. After decades of lies, after all the hurt and deception, there is finally truth. I'm sorry, Matt whispers against Noah's shoulder. For all of it. For not being there. For everything you lost because of me. Noah's voice cracks. You weren't supposed to be this person, he says quietly. You were supposed to stay gone. I know, Matt breathes, pulling back just enough to look at him. But maybe I was supposed to find my way back to you. The rain outside eases, as if the storm itself is giving way to something calmer. Sharon wipes her eyes, watching the two men in front of her. Her son, and the man who changed her life forever. There's pain here, yes, but there's also the faintest flicker of hope. Maybe this is where the healing starts. Matt finally releases Noah, his eyes red and swollen. He says hoarse, I don't expect forgiveness. I just needed you to know who you are, who we are. Noah looks down, struggling to speak. I don't know if I can forgive you, he admits. But maybe I can try to understand. That's all Matt needs. He gives a nod, again weeping. That's more than I deserve. Sharon steps closer, her voice soft. Maybe this was the only way forward for all of us. For the first time in years, there's silence that isn't filled with pain. Just the quiet hum of reconciliation, fragile and uncertain, but real. Their lives have been torn apart by Sharon's secret, but it has also given them something unexpected. A chance to start over and create something honest from the ashes. As Noah leaves the coffee shop later that night, he looks back through the glass. Inside, Sharon sits with Matt, two people bound by the past, by pain, and by the son they share. Although the storm has passed, the world now feels different. Heavier yet somehow lighter. Matt watches his son disappear into the night, whispering softly, "My boy." The tears fall again, but this time they're not just for what was lost. They're for what might still be found. Even though Sharon's heart aches with each breath, there is also some relief. Finally, the truth can be told. Her years-long nightmare of a lie is over. She knows the road ahead won't be easy. Not for any of them, but maybe, just maybe, this truth will be the beginning of something real. Because no matter how twisted the past has been, one truth will forever echo in her heart, the one she finally spoke aloud through tears and courage. That's your son. Matt Clark, or the man the world now knows as Mitch Bacall, stands frozen in the middle of crimson lights long after Noah has gone. The sound of the door closing echoes like the final note of a painful symphony, leaving only silence and the faint hiss of rain against the window. Sharon doesn't move. Neither does he. The air is thick with everything that's just been said. Every lie shattered, every truth exposed. The storm outside might have slowed, but inside another one is still raging. Matt's hands are trembling as he drags them through his damp hair. He can't even bring himself to look at Sharon. Every breath feels like a punishment. Every heartbeat a reminder of all the years he lost. Years that belonged to a boy who should have known his real father. When he finally speaks, he chokes hard and his voice breaks. "How much time, Sharon?" Her eyes flicker up, red-rimmed and hollow. "Since the beginning," she admits softly. "Since Noah was born." He was hit harder by the words than by a physical blow. He walks away and holds onto the chair's edge until his knuckles turn white. "All these years," he whispers bitterly. "All these years you let me walk around thinking my life was empty, that I didn't deserve anything good. And all this time my son was out there." His voice cracks on the word son. "Do you know what that does to me?" I asked. Sharon's tears fall again, her voice trembling as she steps forward. "I didn't do it to hurt you, Matt. You have to believe that." He laughs, a sharp broken sound. "Didn't do it to hurt me?" He repeats, turning toward her with fire in his eyes. "You took away the only chance I had to be something better. You took away the one thing that could have changed me." Sharon flinches at the accusation but doesn't back down. "Changed you?" she says, her voice shaking. "Matt, you were a danger when you left. You were lost. You were hurting everyone around you. You think having a baby would have fixed that? You think knowing Noah existed would have made you magically become someone safe?" Matt stares at her, breathing hard. "It would have given me something to fight for," he says through clenched teeth. "Maybe I would have found redemption sooner. Maybe I wouldn't have spent half my life running from the man I was." Sharon shakes her head, her expression heavy with sorrow. "Or maybe it would have destroyed both of you," she says quietly. "You weren't ready then. Additionally, I was unwilling to risk Noah's life on a possibility." The words silence him for a moment. Deep down, a part of him knows she's right. Back then he was reckless, angry, and driven by vengeance. He would have been a terrible father, the kind that leaves scars instead of love. But knowing that doesn't make the pain any easier to bear. He turns toward the window, staring into the night, his reflection distorted by raindrops. "He called me you," he mutters. "Like I was a stranger. And he's right. I am." Sharon crosses the room slowly, her steps soft. "You don't have to stay that way," she says gently. "You can still be part of his life. If he'll let you." Matt laughs again, but this time there's no anger in it, only exhaustion. "You really think he'll want that? After everything? After finding out that the man who hurt his mother is his biological father?" Sharon doesn't answer immediately. Instead, she walks to the counter, wiping her eyes. "I don't know what Noah will want," she admits. "But I know him. He's a good man, kind, thoughtful, forgiving. He gets that from Nick, and from me. If you give him time, maybe he'll see that you've changed too." Matt's jaw tightens at the mention of Nick. "Nick," he repeats bitterly. The man who got to raise my son. The man who got to hear him say Dad. The man who tucked him in, taught him how to shave, took him to school, while I was out there rotting in a life I didn't even want. His voice cracks again and he looks at her, eyes full of tears. You gave him everything that should have been mine. Sharon steps closer, her voice raw. And you gave me every reason to, she fires back, though her tone softens almost immediately. Don't twist this, Matt. Nick saved Noah from growing up in the darkness that consumed you. He gave him love. He gave him peace. He gave him a chance to be normal. Matt exhales shakily and sinks into a chair, burying his face in his hands. I know, he admits after a long moment. I know you're right. But it doesn't make it hurt any less. The espresso machine's low hum and the rain's soft patter are the only sounds that break the silence once more. Sharon sits across from him, folding her hands in her lap. When I found out I was pregnant, she begins, her voice distant, I was terrified. I didn't know what to do. You were gone, Nick was there, and everything was chaos. When Noah was born, Nick held him first. He looked at that baby like he was his whole world, and I let him believe it. I told myself it was for the best. She wipes away a tear. For years I tried to convince myself I'd done the right thing. But when I saw you again, when I saw how much you'd changed, I knew I couldn't keep lying. Matt lifts his head slowly, meeting her gaze. You said you wanted to protect Noah, he says quietly. But what about me, Sharon? Who protected me from this pain? Sharon's lips shake. You weren't the one who needed protecting, she whispers. Noah was. That ends the argument. Matt leans back, defeated, his chest rising and falling as the weight of everything settles in. His son, is out there walking the streets, questioning everything he thought he knew about himself. And it's his fault. Sharon's too, but mostly his. He's spent so long trying to outrun the past, and now it's caught up to him in the cruelest way possible. After a long silence, he finally speaks again. I want to make it right, he says simply. Sharon studies him for a moment. How? He shrugs helplessly. I don't know yet. However, I have to try. Meanwhile, across town, Noah sits in his car outside Nick's house, rain streaking down the windshield. His hands grip the steering wheel, his knuckles white. His mind is spinning. Fragments of memory, flashes of childhood, moments with Nick that now feel like they belong to someone else. Every time he hears his own name, it sounds wrong, tainted somehow. He finally gets out of the car and heads inside, where Nick is sitting on the couch, sorting through some paperwork. Nick looks up, immediately noticing his son's pale, shaken expression. Noah, he says, concerned. What's wrong? Noah's voice cracks as he blurts it out. You're not my dad. Nick freezes, his heart dropping into his stomach. What are you talking about? Tears fill Noah's eyes. Mom told me everything, he says, his voice trembling. Matt Clark, Mitch Bacall, whatever name he goes by now, he's my father. My real father. Nick's face goes pale. For a long time he can't say anything. The truth is something he's always known could come out someday, but hearing it spoken aloud, hearing the pain in Noah's voice, cuts him deeply. I see, he says finally, his voice quiet. Noah steps forward, his anger breaking through his sadness. You knew, didn't you? Nick exhales heavily. Not at first, he admits. But after a while, yeah. I suspected. Your mom was scared. She didn't want to talk about it, but I could see the truth in her eyes. Noah shakes his head, tears streaming down his face. And you just went along with it? I loved you, Nick says fiercely. From the moment I held you, I didn't care whose blood you had. You were my son, Noah. You still are. Noah's chest tightens. How can you say that? He asks bitterly. Everything I thought I knew about who I am. It's all a lie. Nick stands and crosses the room, placing a firm hand on Noah's shoulder. He says softly, No, it's not a lie. I changed your diapers. I taught you how to ride a bike. I held you when you cried. You carry my heart, even if you don't carry my DNA. Blood doesn't make a father, Noah. Love does. The words hit Noah hard. He looks at Nick, this man who's always been his rock, his guide, his safe place, and his anger falters. He collapses into Nick's arms, sobbing like the child he used to be. I don't know who I am anymore, he whispers. Nick holds him tight. "You're Noah Newman," he says firmly. "That hasn't changed. And no matter what happens, you'll always be my son." Back at Crimson Lights, Sharon and Matt sit in silence until Matt finally stands, pushing his chair back. "I have to go see him," he says. "He deserves to hear it from me." Sharon hesitates, fear flashing in her eyes. "He's hurting right now. Maybe give him time." Matt shakes his head. "No. Time's what I've already stolen from him. I'm not stealing anymore." Before she can stop him, he's gone. When Matt arrives at Nick's house, the air is thick with tension. When Nick sees who it is, his expression turns grim as he opens the door. "You've got some nerve showing up here," Nick says flatly. "I'm not here to fight," Matt replies, his voice low and tired. "I just need to see Noah."